If you're looking for a way to warn your allies a town away, torture your nemesis with flying snakes, or even upend an economy by interrupting a daily event with screaming rats, Animal Messenger might be for you. I'm John, Forever DM, and an encounter writer at dumbestdnd.com, and today we're looking at one of the most abused spells in D&D 5e, Animal Messenger. It's a second level enchantment spell that lasts for 24 hours. Similar to Animal Friendship, Bards, druids, and rangers can use this spell, which comes from the player's handbook. And good news for you ritual casters out there, you can cast this as a ritual. Or you can spend one action. TLDR, you pick a tiny beast, give it a location and a short message, and it can then run and tell the roughly described individual that message in your voice. This spell is interesting because it gives a lot of such as examples in the rules, which not too many other spells do. If you just want to get to the chaotic and somewhat breaking uses of this spell, go ahead and forward on to the uses chapter. To better understand how players break this spell, let's take a look at the rules as written to see what's going on. Starting with the flavor text, by means of this spell, you use an animal to deliver a message. Easy enough. Choose a tiny beast you can see within range, such as a squirrel, a blue jay, or a bat. Beast, specifically, tiny beast. You specify a location, which you must have visited, and a recipient who matches a general description, such as a man or woman dressed in the uniform of the town guard, or a red-haired dwarf wearing a pointed hat. You've been there before, and you know someone there. You must be specific, though, about their features. If you say something like, a man in chainmail, that could lead to the tiny beast talking to any man in chainmail. Give some identifying characteristics, or risk the consequences. You also speak a message of up to 25 words. Easy enough, 25 words max. Any more, and the creature won't remember. After all, they are essentially opening their mouths and letting your magic voice come out. The target beast travels for the duration of the spell toward the specified location, covering about 50 miles per 24 hours for a flying messenger, or 25 miles for other animals. Right? Got it? 24 hours max, or however long it takes under 24 hours to get to the destination and the desired recipient. When the messenger arrives, it delivers your message to the creature that you described, replicating the sound of your voice. The described creature, again, remember to be specific here. The messenger speaks only to a creature matching the description you gave. So rules as written really wants you to be specific on this description, as I'm sure your DM does as well. If the messenger doesn't reach its destination before the spell ends, the message is lost, and the beast makes its way back to where you cast the spell. Think of Dory from Finding Nemo, but a 24-hour attention span instead of a couple of seconds. If they don't get there, they snap out of it and abandon the mission. At higher levels, if you cast this spell using a spell slot of 3rd level or higher, the duration of the spell increases by 48 hours for each slot above 2nd. So ritual casting and upcasting, it's interesting. You can't do both at the same time, but most spells don't give you an upcast option if it's also a ritual. And you also need a morsel of food. One thing to note here, there's absolutely zero save action on the tiny beast side. It simply has to do what it is commanded to do. Doesn't matter the intelligence, wisdom, nothing. Distance-wise, an adventuring party can typically cover 24 miles in one day, uninterrupted on normal terrain. There's also no rules on whether or not you can attach something to the tiny beast, even though there were in previous editions, so something to consider as we go through uses. You'd probably need an animal handling check to make sure you don't spook it while you are attaching said object, but DM discretion there again. There's also nothing to say the field mouse you gave a super secret whisper to won't get snatched up by a predator on the way to its destination, so make sure to clear things up at your table when possible. And there's no knowing whether or not the cartographer you are trying to send your message to will be in town at the exact moment when the messenger arrives. There are lots of gaps in these rules. Let's start with the standard uses and progressively get more unhinged. The intent is to set up some sort of communication channel between you and a place that you've been, along with an ally or enemy of some sort. Your party is going south, but you need to warn the town in the north about something bad that's coming or something good that's coming. Animal Messenger lets you tell a nearby badger to go warn the mayor in the bright green suit. Simple enough, and lets you rest easy knowing that the town will be ready for the impending cranium rat horde charging toward them. Technically, velociraptors and sturges fit into the criteria for tiny beast, so you could send them into an enemy encampment you've been to and deliver a strange message. When the velociraptor has given the message and snaps out of your enchantment, they're likely going to start chasing after everyone in that camp because of their primal urges. You could open your own postal system and use pigeons and crows. You could also send fake quest hooks to your rival in town, tricking them into dangerous or deadly situations. Remember too, there's no save on the Animal Messenger itself, so rules as written, the animal just has to do this. Taking only one action, mid-combat, you could tell it to go, and it would go. The message doesn't even matter at that point. You could probably even strap a magical proximity mine to the Animal Messenger, though that has a negative effect on the fuzzy little friend, even if it does harm your enemy. Now we get really unhinged. I don't know if I'm ready for this. Are you ready for this? There was a Reddit thread about 4 years ago that highlights how amazingly creative and also chaotic players can get with Animal Messenger. I'll toss a link in the description, but I have to read some of these directly because they're just too good. Because you can cast Animal Messenger as a ritual, you could spend an entire day sending a new tiny beast every 11 minutes for a grand total of 130 messengers in one day if you don't rest. There's no rule against corralling those critters and releasing them all at once, but keep in mind, you'll have a 24-hour timer on each. From Hefeder. Imagine that 5 times an hour, a raven shows up at your window and says, "Nevermore," or "I'm coming for you, Derek." The messenger's 50 miles to their destination, so you could keep feeding all the birds in a town and then send them en masse to anyone within soaring distance, which could be as far as a neighboring city. From 500 pound, the message is delivered on your voice. So my bard used the capture and release all at once method to create a choir of animals to announce the party's entry to a big city. I like that one. Pretty harmless, but fun. From King Owlbear, rats have a strength score of 2, which means they can easily carry the weight of a torch. Tie a torch to the tail and light it, telling it to go somewhere at the other end of town. At least one of the 130 torch rats will set a significant fire somewhere. The creative uses are endless. Let us know below the best usage of Animal Messenger that you've seen. Side note, Animal Messenger is a great low-cost way for DMs to get messages to the party while they're traveling. Let's take a look at the history. Originally, Animal Messenger forced the caster to tie a note of some sort to the creature instead of it projecting the caster's voice. It wasn't until 4th edition that Animal Messenger added the ability for the creature to speak as you. The distances were added as well, then ported into 5th edition. Nothing major in change other than some mechanics, which now allow the spell to be even more chaotic. This is an extremely fun spell to have at your disposal, especially if you're a ritual caster. If nothing else, do it for the lulz. We'll drop a link where you can find all of the official tiny beasts across all the books in D&D. You can obviously add your own, and I'm sure there will be more to come. But let us know below, what would be your tiny beast of choice? As always, thanks for watching, and be sure to check out dumbestdnd.com for free encounters that you can toss any of these tiny beasts into.